You're listening to From There to Here, a Star Trek Enterprise podcast. Hello, my name is Josh, and with me is
Justin.
Today we're reviewing the Season 1, Episode 11 episode, The Plume of Agasauria, or betterwise known as Cold Front.
Beautiful plumage.
What do you have on the episode, Justin? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to.
I was going to say,
I didn't read what it was.
Your part.
I didn't read what it was about. Cold Front is listed on the IMDb as being about this. Enterprise has a group of aliens watching a stellar phenomenon on board. When the ship is miraculously saved from blowing up, crewman Daniels has an important message for Archer. It's not a very good description. That's it. That's it.
Oh.
This was rated a 7.6 on the IMDb. I think that's the highest rating we've gotten so far.
Okay.
At least on the IMDb.
Okay, well, this is episode 11, air date November 28, 2001, directed by Star Trek Voyager alum Robert Duncan McNeil.
Lieutenant Paris. Or Ensign Paris or Lieutenant?
He was lieutenant, then he was
demoted,
he got busted
in rank.
Was back again.
Yeah.
The most relevant thing I'll say that I read was, this is Sonny Lee of Entertainment Weekly wrote, quote, "Finally they did it. The writers of this week's episode of Enterprise, Steve Beck and Tom Finch,
did not put me to sleep.
Provided the season's first truly compelling episode." It's not unlike the story that was written about Star Trek II when that came out.
Okay.
Do you remember the one?
No.
Harv Bennett, while being interviewed, said that they were watching the reviews they came in, and someone of the, I think, Chicago Sun-Times or something said,
Roger
how did it go?
He was of the Chicago
No,
Sun-Times.
he said, well, right.
Okay.
He said, and that's more like it. As in, this is what we were waiting for.
Yeah, okay.
Star Trek 1, this is the actual show.
Forget all that cerebral stuff.
Yeah.
Give
And
me
that's
some
more
explosions.
like it. And when he said that, he had tears in his eyes.
Harv Bennett?
Yeah, because what a reception.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's it. Finally, you did it. Okay, great. Anyway, so back to Cold Front.
Yeah, this is a quite a relief after the last two episodes, which were by no means bad.
Right.
And I was being really hyperbolic when I said, it keeps you awake or doesn't put you to sleep because, well, Justin and I were joking around. The last two episodes, Justin almost fell asleep while watching both of them.
Yeah.
Not that they were bad. Justin was just really tired at the time.
And they're slow.
They were just mediocre, and so it wasn't really keeping his attention. But
right.
Anyway, this one, a lot better. It's a little slow in the beginning because you're not really sure what's going on. But that teaser, it opens up with that teaser with Silic, so there's something's
happening.
afoot.
Yeah,
something nefarious because Silic is not a good guy.
Right.
He's with the Shadow Man.
Yeah, future guy,
future man,
as they call it. Yeah,
in the shower room. Looks like he's standing in a light shower.
What are you doing?
Yes. Basically, he's sending him on a mission to do something with the Enterprise, and that's kind of what leads into the plot as it progresses. The Enterprise comes about some... I'd like to mention, though, there's that little interplay with Hoshi and... Is it Malcolm? Or no, it's...
the helmsman.
Mayweather. About movie night.
Right.
We haven't talked about movie night.
No. Well, this is the first time they did it.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, they don't show it.
No, not yet, but they do.
Mayweather talks about movie night, about, you should have been at movie night last night, or I went to movie night, and he watched, like, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something.
Killer Ants.
Yeah,
it's never anything that you remotely have heard of.
Okay. Attack of the Killer Ants. There was a lot of giant bug movies in the 50s. So I'm sure this is one they made up. It's probably not a real movie.
Who knows?
But I like the idea that they have movie night. Of course, they could watch a movie in their room, but there's a communal thing. When
they show it later on in the series, they have it blown up on a big screen.
Yeah, it's like it dropped down, like you'd have at home.
Sure.
That kind of thing. But they all gather together in like the mess hall.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and they all have popcorn
because that's the biggest set where they could do that.
Yeah,
so,
that's all they had.
Like, that's nice, and they just enjoy a movie. I think they watched The Day They Stood Still at one point.
Maybe I don't know,
but I think it's fun. Like they brought movies into this because they've never done that in any other series.
Yeah,
they don't watch TV in the future; they're too good for it.
Right.
So,
right.
They wear hats in this series, and they watch movies.
In like say TNG days, it's all holographic. You know, they interact
That's
with
true.
the movie, whereas this, you watch it passively.
Well, you know, like what was that episode called? The season finale of the first season.
Oh,
TNG.
right.
Neutral Zone.
Yeah.
Like, we're at the TV, you know, the boob tube. You know, the guy's like, you know, you guys out no TV. What do you guys do around here? You know, so,
That's what we would say. What do y'all do? Well, we go to our holograms and, well, we have a very efficient cleaning program afterwards.
Yes.
Sir. That's what we have.
think of it as just a guy. Maybe there's a janitor that has to do it.
There is.
Or if it's assigned
mopper.
to like a department each month, you know,
Right.
they have to exchange the duty. Anyway, so back to the episode.
Yeah.
They come across a ship that's carrying these aliens that are really of no relevance. It's kind of like, I wouldn't even call it a B plot. It's
No, not even that.
no, it's just
It's just something going on peripherally.
right. This I wouldn't call him he's not a mercenary. He's a guy for hire. He's taking these aliens.
Yeah, he's just a guy, ship captain.
on this. Right. He's
It's like a passenger liner
yeah.
captain.
He's just working for himself.
Yeah.
He's passengering. He's taking these this group of aliens to look at the plume of Agasauria,
Yes.
which is, I guess, a star that is about to do something. It doesn't really matter. It's going to shine really brightly or something like that. It doesn't matter. But one of these aliens is masquerading.
Silic
Salic masquerading as this alien, and you're not exactly sure what he's up to at first, and they don't tell you for a little while. I think it's about 20 minutes before something actually of significance happens.
Is it really that long?
I think so, but we are introduced to Daniels
Yes.
at the very beginning of the
That's
episode.
true.
Which, of course, since it's you think it's gonna be an extra, but he has lines, so you know he's
So you know something's up.
you know, and then you get some shots later on in the episode where you see him here and there in different scenes, but he doesn't talk. You're like, okay, well, this guy's obviously important.
Right. This is obviously the cook on Red October.
Yes, yes.
Clearly, he has a role.
Assistant cook Loganov, sir. Yes.
Yeah, we didn't just meet him for nothing.
No. This will not come back again later.
No, when Daniels, who he does say his name right away, when they have their exchange, I mean, it's very obvious he is one of the guest stars of the week. So extras don't get lines like that. So you know he has purpose.
Right.
And
I must say, I didn't really care for Daniels pretty much acting as the servant of Archer. Like he's bringing his breakfast or something like that.
But if you think about it, the intention was probably to put him in a position where he would
I gathered that
be able to casually interact.
Yes,
you know, with the crew.
of course. But could they have not thought of another way? Like he has to bring him food. Like why does the captain have a servant?
It's not a servant. He was working in the galley or doing whatever he did. You know.
What? Okay, come on.
They even saw him bussing tables later in the
Captain
episode.
Archer he looks like the type of guy that would go and pick up his own tray. He wouldn't. Hey,
you've seen it
Daniels,
in episodes.
bring me my
before.
food.
You're
now,
only saying
now.
that because
I'm ringing the bell. Bring the food.
This is what I'm talking about. Because he is the guest star. Because he's the guest star. You've seen in other episodes people bring food out to him, and you've never thought twice. But because you assume Daniels is someone of station, now you think he should not be delivering food.
But because you're a communist, you think people are all on the same level. But the thing is, Captain Archer has worked through merit to get to that top part of society, and now the lower people of society have to feed him.
I mean, poor Chef is slaving over a hot stove, and we never see you talking about him.
They bring up Chef again
all the time,
and we never see Chef.
We never do.
No.
The closest we ever get to it is not even really Chef. It's Riker pretending to be Chef.
Oh, that's right.
And they come and talk to him like he's the counselor.
In that episode that shouldn't be talked about ever.
These are the voyages.
Do you want to pick up the plot from there?
Okay, so essentially the pilgrims, we'll call them, are being given a tour of the ship, and Silic, who he's not in his normal Silic face, he's adopted a completely different look. But if you're familiar with this actor, who I already was at this point, you know that's Silic because you know that actor and you know that that's his voice and so on.
Well, it clearly still looks like him.
You're right. I suppose so.
Yeah.
Well, everyone else is somewhere else looking at the engine. He breaks something connected to the engine. And you assume that this is something bad, that he's done something bad and this will hurt the ship. Cut to the next day. Something happened, some electrical storm in the stellar nursery they're in. And the ship gets hit with electricity of sorts, and it starts cascading from the outside of the ship to the inside, and it's going straight for the warp core. And if it hits that, and there's a whole lot of urgency about this, like, oh, we're about to pop, all of a sudden it stops cold right where he broke that piece off. And in short order, they recognize that this broken piece, which was not previously broken, had it been connected the way it should have been, the ship would have blown up. In other words, someone intentionally had saved the ship. They had prior knowledge. And Trip checks with his crew. No one knows what's going on. They realize something's up. And it's at that point that crewman Daniels, wink, 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 now he goes and approaches Archer and says, hey, I know something about what's going on. And Archer at first is kind of like, hey, I got bigger things.
I've got bigger
Go
fish to
talk
fry.
to some of the other guys.
He wasn't very...
He was... Well, he had an urgent situation, and he didn't recognize.
He did, I understand.
He wasn't rude, but he was curt. He was curt.
He was.
And
yes.
So Daniels had to drop some names. Oh, are you looking for... Have you heard the name Silic? Have you heard of the Temporal Cold War? And he's like, okay,
that
now you have my attention.
He's like, what?
And he said, let's go talk. And he goes, and I like this exchange. Well, let's go to my quarters. And Daniels quickly says, sir. And mind you, he's already turned and he's going in that direction.
Let's go to mine.
Sir, let's go to mine instead. And he's completely floored. Like, who is this guy? He doesn't realize that this isn't even part of his crew yet.
No.
Because he's seen Daniels a few times now. So he's bewildered. And they get to his quarters, and Daniels turns on his 3D holograph thing and shows him a representation of time travel
well, it's kind of
chronology, so to speak.
You see time represented all around you.
Points of time and whatnot. And he explains that he is part of an organization. He does not give the name that keeps time as it should be and prevents people from altering it. That time travel exists in the future. He's from 900 years in the future. Silic is not from that time. He's from this time.
Nor are the people helping Silic.
Right. He's giving details, but nothing we the audience don't already know. He's just kind of filling in Archer. And he says, look, Silic is on this ship. I need you to help me find him. And Archer is a little dubious at first, but he kind of falls in and he goes, okay, well, let's do this.
Well, let me interrupt there, because something comes up around this point.
Sure.
Which is T'Pol.
Yep.
Because well, T'Pol pretty much
about here. Yeah.
Yeah, T'Pol is the skeptic one, and she says, because Trip and Archer are more along with believing with Daniels about what he's...
That time travel exists
about what he's
at
saying.
all. Yeah.
And she's saying, well, how do you know that? How can you be certain? I was like,
she said, look, we've done research
this
on
is
this.
a big leap.
You can't prove it.
What are you talking
about?
I was like, and of course I was thinking she's right. I'd had that thought. I was like, he didn't really prove anything. All he came up with a wild story, some flashing lights.
Right.
Sure, his holographic
put on
thing
a good show
was nice, but what did he really do at that
evidence?
Point? He hadn't provided anything. Yeah. He knew things, but that doesn't mean anything. He could have been a Suliban in disguise for all they know.
That's a very good point.
He could have been a bad guy from the future. He didn't say what he didn't provide any reason for Archer to really trust him.
No, that's true.
And that's something I think Archer should have asked him. Like,
no, you're absolutely
right. Provide me
right.
some proof that you are who you say you are.
No, you're completely right. Yeah. And other than the fact that he knew a few details of things that someone generally wouldn't have known, he really didn't do anything to show for sure that he was from the future. Mm-hmm. And Silic took advantage of that, because after they start their hunt for Silic appears to Archer in his quarters, and he basically flips the story. And he goes, let me guess. He told you all this stuff about a temporal Cold War. He's part of this organization. All lies. All lies. He's like, did you ask for proof? No, you didn't. He's like, I saved your ship. Mm-hmm. I did this thing. Trust me.
Silic did shave his ship.
He did.
Which is something we never find out why. Do we?
Not in this episode. Not in this episode, anyway. But Archer is kind of thankfully going, well, you kind of have a point. You are a bad guy, but you did save the ship. Obviously, it's for your own reasons, but you did. So maybe we need to take a step back here. And that's where things start to get a little gray. That he's, I don't want to say he's helping both of them at that point, but he's definitely open-minded, which is probably a reference to the question that gets put to Archer earlier in the episode when they're watching the crystal plumage happen, and the pilgrims are talking about how this is a religious experience for them, and they ask Archer, do you have a god or some sort of spiritual thing that you believe in? And you're like, oh, here's that Trek moment. Is someone going to admit to believing in God or not? Because they don't in Trek. That's not a thing. Gene Roddenberry was very big on that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, what is he going to say? And then he said something else. I'll reference another thing. But he says, well, let's just say I'm open-minded.
I guess I don't remember this moment. I must have
it happened in the mess hall when they were watching out.
Okay.
And it's funny. Literally today.
Who said that? Who said I believe in something?
Archer. Archer said...
What did he say exactly?
The guy asked him, is there a God? Do you believe in God or a spiritual belief system or something?
Did he use the word God, or did he say a higher being? Or
he might have said a higher power or something. But Archer's response was, I like to think of myself as open-minded. In other words, he's willing to explore everything. And I think that was not a throwaway line. I think that was meant to show that when he was then face-to-face with Silic, he needed to be open-minded and not just accept what Daniel said or what Silic said. The truth was probably somewhere in the middle.
But we know that Daniels, don't we?
I mean, we as an audience...
We know that Daniels is working for some type of agency in the future. That's true. Right?
How do we...
I guess we never know that
We don't really know that yet. He does prove that to him later.
Does he really prove it to him?
He takes him to the future and shows him the Enterprise J fighting something. He takes him to a future library where Earth is ruined. But that's the end of, I want to say, the second season.
He takes him to a few places, but does he ever actually prove it? I mean,
beyond those things, I don't remember.
Okay.
But what's funny about that line is that I actually watched an episode of Deep Space Nine today called The Ship, where Avorta asked, because the founder died, and she says something about, do you have a god that you believe in, Captain? And I always remember Avery Brooks and the way he delivered this line. I love it because, again, it's that moment where Star Trek does not like to dip its feet into that, but there's almost something spiritual about
Avery Brooks.
Sisko and Avery Brooks. Like, you can just see it on his face. You're like, he may not say the words, but he clearly is a man of faith.
There's something out there far beyond all those distant stars. Keep going.
Okay, so this is what he says. He says, there's a pause, and he says, there are things I believe in. And I thought, beautiful. Beautiful. That's all you need to say.
There was something similar to that, although they weren't discussing a supreme entity of some kind. But in TNG, in Where Silence Has Lease,
right,
where Data, well, it's not really Data, it's Nagilum,
right,
walks in and says, what is death? And blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, what do you think, Captain? And Picard said, well, I think it's more than any one of these philosophies. He was referring to transcendent or just blanking out to nothingness. He said, I think it's more than that. It's the universe it's so complex. All it's clockwork like perfection. Think about it. Like, there's got to be something more.
Yeah,
but he didn't say exactly.
He didn't go into any specific faith.
No,
like that.
No.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a Star Trek answer.
It is. It is.
Yes, it is.
But anyway, so it comes down to I don't recall the machinations of the plot to where Archer does decide to ultimately. Oh, I know what it is. They key in. Excuse me. They key in on Silic, and he is up to no good. He's locked out part of the ship or something. He's doing bad things, whereas Daniel has done nothing bad at this point. And while in engineering, I think it is, T'Pol and Trip watch Silic, so they think murder Daniels. So at that point, they're full bore going for Silic at this point, who's trying to get off the ship. And Archer uses...
it's one of Daniel's
brass knuckles that
yes.
Daniels has
Lets
that
him
allows him to
walls.
phase through walls.
Yes.
And he ends up seeing Silic jump out of the shuttle pod doors, catch a ship, and take off. And the episode essentially ends.
That was the one good moment where having a bottom-facing cargo bay
led to some drama.
well actually looked cool.
It did look cool, yeah, because
Yes.
he was hanging. And
If he was going out horizontally, it wouldn't look as cool.
yeah, fair enough. But the episode ends on kind of a question mark because he orders Daniel's quarters sealed, and the episode ends on that with what's his name, Reed, attaching a lock of sorts to Daniel's door, and the last shot is kind of slowly zooming in on that. In other words, we'll be back.
Kind of inviting people to break into it by putting such a big lock on the door.
Well, maybe so.
I know it looks
just put some caution.
it looks
tape.
cool on camera, but you don't.
That's
you
a
really
big
need that?
lock too.
It
Do you
is.
really
It
need
is.
that? Anyway, so clearly the episode is telling us that
It's setting things up because
Yeah,
it doesn't
there's more to come.
resolve itself.
It doesn't resolve at
We
all.
don't know what Daniel's mission was exactly. We don't know what Silik's mission was.
No.
It just ends. I mean, Silik goes away, but we know Silik is alive.
right.
But they think that Daniel's died, but the way he didn't vaporize.
No,
his
something was
so-called death
different.
was a little odd looking. So I think that's supposed to implant in your mind that maybe he's
something
not
else
exactly
happened.
dead.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty
basically
much
the
the
episode.
episode. Not a lot of plot.
It doesn't sound like it, but
No.
I'll just get right to it. I really enjoyed this episode.
Oh, I like it a lot.
And I would
yeah.
agree that this is, to date, probably their best episode so far.
That's a tough call.
Unless, what are you comparing it to?
Well, we haven't had many excellent ones. I think Breaking the Ice was pretty good.
It was a good episode.
I think in terms of plot, Breaking the Ice was actually had much more of one.
Yes.
But
it was more clear cut.
yes,
This is like
this
the
is
entry into a bigger plot thread.
right. And there's a lot of mystery in here, which is intriguing. Mysteries don't hold up as much on rewatching, but I'd say it's definitely, yes, one of the stronger ones. I mean, we're only 11 episodes in, so.
No, it is though, but this really came together. I really feel like
How so? I mean, be specific.
first I think I talked about this in our commentary for the pilot, that I really like John Fleck, who plays Silik.
Okay.
He's
got a great voice.
He does have a great voice, but just something about this guy, he's got a presence that I really enjoy. And I was thinking about this as the episode was playing, and they do it a lot, where he never refers to Archer as Captain or Archer. He always calls him John.
You're right.
And that always catches my attention.
Yeah.
And I find that just an interesting
I guess I never thought about that, but
Yeah.
you're right.
And he says it all the time. It's like he's intentionally trying to say, I know you.
I know you.
You don't know me, but I know you.
It does make all of their confrontations feel much more personal.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And that immediately makes this a personal thing. And Silik is interesting. He's a bad guy, and so far we've only seen him do basically bad things, but he's clearly at the will of a greater master. And he's not on this level, don't misunderstand me, but he's kind of like Hans Gruber, where I kind of like the guy. I just like him, even though he's bad. I don't know what it is, but he brings something that I enjoy. I enjoy his interactions with Archer.
It could be a certain just kind of charisma. the
Yeah,
actor
something.
has. Like
It's chemistry.
Yeah.
He just works
just like
in the
Alan
body
Rickman
of this
had.
show.
Yeah.
And I thought, even though that I feel like, I know you said 20 minutes. I mean, I didn't feel like it was 20 minutes till things started
maybe like
moving.
15. That's a
But
guess.
after the teaser, where he's being put on his mission, the rest of the show, the ship shows up with the pilgrims, they're on board, he's there, you're waiting, what's he going to do? And just, it's one thing leads to another, and it really goes. And I enjoyed the fact that, like we said at the top, it's a B plot, but it's not really a B plot. It's more of just something that's happening back there, because it doesn't have any relevance to really anything.
It's not a story.
It's not a story.
just something going on.
And it doesn't magically connect to the original, to the plot. It's only a means that Silik got onto the ship.
It was only there, to bring Silik and, together with the Enterprise in terms of the plot. That was it. It wasn't necessary. I mean, it didn't have a resolution of its own. Like there was no drama with it or anything like that.
No, I agree. There was something
sufficient.
Yeah, there was something okay. So on Wikipedia, when I was reading about this, Robert Duncan McNeil, who directed the episode, later noted that there had been high expectations on set. Quote, "They were just getting going and everyone was a bit tense. It seemed to be a combination of the cast and crew trying to distance themselves from Voyager and to establish the tone and style of this show, of their show." And I think that
with this episode,
I mean, obviously he's referring to the series so far, but this is his entry point to the series as a director.
I see.
And he said that it was obviously, he's saying that was still a very prevalent state of mind, which is, we are not like old Trek. We're different Trek. You know, we're Trek, but we're different. And
we watch movies in our show.
I
get you.
No, but see, I like that though. The fact that they do watch movies and wear ball caps, that is part of the aesthetic of the show that differentiates it from everything else. And prior Trek, well, I can't say that now. I was going to say prior Trek didn't do this, but DS9 totally was serialized. And that's what this was
entirely
trying to do.
Yeah.
This was having an arc that was going through a whole season. Even DS9 didn't entirely do that. Not exactly.
Well, they don't do it episode to episode. They bring up the Cold War here and there and continue that
but
story.
This was a thread that continued for the next couple of years.
Which was something they never did in TNG.
No. DS9 came
very
close.
rarely would they reference something that happened in the past.
Yeah, it was very rare.
Yeah.
Very
like
rare.
there was that one episode, not very good, Descent Part 2.
Yeah.
When Crusher is in command of the Enterprise, which was why that happened, I don't know. But she referenced Dr. Rega, that Ferengi scientist who discovered sun shielding, metaphasic shielding. I was like, oh my god, they're referencing a past episode. This never happens, and it's not even a good one.
Right.
it's just an okay one. I was like, okay. Anyway, yeah. So I think they're kind of breaking with that trend because Voyager had very contained episodes too.
It did. They had thematic elements that would go on, but not a straight up plot line.
Yeah, like Seven becoming more human.
Yeah, things like that. But this really did. If all of the episodes of the series had this level of tension and intrigue, man, this show would have just killed. But it has highs and lows. It goes back to old Trek and then tries something new.
I think it has more highs than lows.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying I wish they had gone for this vibe more. And you and I have talked about this many times, even over the course of these 11 episodes, that we enjoy seeing Archer and or the Enterprise crew over their heads. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that they're babes in Toyland. You know, they're efficient people. They know their stuff, but usually they're out of the best episodes. They're a little out of their depth, and they got to really catch up. And I enjoy that.
Well, yeah, it paints a strike contrast to TNG, where you're with the flagship, the Federation, most advanced ship in the fleet.
Absolutely,
technologically advanced. They know everything. You never felt like they were in a situation they couldn't handle, except say for the Borg. Maybe,
no, agreed. And Voyager was the same way. It was the sole Starfleet ship there, but yet they outclassed almost everyone they came across.
Usually, yeah.
And the ones that they didn't, they outsmarted. Mm-hmm. You know, DS9, DS9 is so different than anything, you can't really compare it. And you definitely felt threat in Deep Space Nine. That was the beauty of that show. But with this, I think it's really at its best when, and it's exemplified in that scene when Silik tries turning the story on Archer. Mm-hmm. Archer does have to step back and go,
playing some mind
wait a
games
second. Am I getting played?
Yeah.
I like that. And they are not temporal agent. Clearly something with time is going on.
Right.
That alone puts them out of their depth. Mm-hmm. You know, if this were Patrick Stewart, if this were Picard, he'd handle time travel with the greatest of ease. But this is new to these guys.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're doing. And I like that they locked the door to that room and he said, God knows what's in that room. Mm-hmm. I like that. And he doesn't even have the guts to go in that room. Just lock it up, because we're out of our depth. I love that. Love it. It's intriguing. Mm-hmm. And I think I said this. I think I did in our pilot episode where I think that whole pilot, a 90-minute episode, would have been stronger had Silik been the only Suliban that we encountered, because he is such a presence and he has got such character. I was way more interested in that. I don't want to see any of his buddies. Let me see just him, because he works. And here we got that.
Right.
And he was great. And he absolutely commanded. And you're right. He has that voice. And the way that he uses it, John, what do you know about the future? He can layer sarcasm in there. He can layer insults in there, all in his tone. He's
Don't
really
bother
got
calling for help, John.
Yeah, he's so good at that stuff. I just love listening to that guy talk. I hope he's done audiobooks. I would listen to him read.
I'm sure he does. He must do something with
you
his
can't
voice.
have a voice like that and
No.
not use it. Yeah.
Is there anything else about the episode you wanted to... Did you want to mention that little gaff they had?
Okay.
We don't know if it is or not. It certainly looked like
it looked like a gaff. There was a scene where the
beginning
camera...
of the episode. It was somewhere in the beginning. It was just after Mayweather sat in the captain's chair and then got caught and
and it was a good that was a cute little moment.
Cute.
What I enjoyed about that, and I've talked about this before. I think it was in Breaking the Ice actually, where as much as they paint Malcolm as a total stiff Brit, he's
kind of
so
encouraging
far
of it.
He's the one that starts a lot of the goofy stuff.
Well, in this moment he kind of smiles.
He does. He leaves the bridge and he tells Mayweather, "Okay, you got the bridge," and Hoshi eggs him on to go sit in the chair. Sit in the chair. You're in command. Yeah. Technically, he can, and so at first he was like, "No, I can't." Oh, okay,
fine. You convinced me.
So he went and sat down there and pulled a Wesley Crusher where he starts playing with the buttons, and right then is when Malcolm comes back. Apparently, he just went to the loo, and he comes back, and Mayweather and goes back to his chair, and Malcolm just kind of stiffens up. He gives him the senior officer look, like,
no, he has a good response. He says, "Oh, may I take my station, sir?"
Yeah, he does. He gives him the stiff look, then he goes, "Sir, may I take my station?" In other words, haha, I get it. It's okay. I understand. And he sits down with a smirk on his face, like we've all done it. It was a cute little moment, and I really enjoyed that. Again, they keep finding these moments to show you that Malcolm is not this cookie cutter stiff guy. Like he's got a sense of humor. He's playful at the right times. I really like Malcolm.
So do I.
And I'm waiting for more episodes that explore him more.
I like that he likes pineapple, but that comes up later.
I bet he has an allergy. So
it's in this moment that we see the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. So the camera follows Mayweather as he goes to sit back at his station. As the camera pulls back on the left-hand side, I'm thinking it's a piece of a light box that's pointing at Malcolm.
Or maybe a lens hood.
Or maybe a lens hood giving Malcolm a close-up so they could do it all in one take.
Because it's moving a little bit?
Yeah,
it
like
was.
It's adjusting
and it definitely
to his frame.
looked like it was not supposed to be in the shot.
It was... We've seen the front of that.
There's no black box in front of him.
In front of Mayweather's station.
I think they just pulled back too far or were too far to the left.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something happened.
It's just one of those little things. And it clearly does not belong there.
No, but I guess, I never noticed it before.
No, I hadn't either.
So if you're listening, go check that out and see what you guys think it is. And email us,
please,
with your thoughts of what you think it is, because we think it's either one of those two things.
Yeah.
But we definitely think it's not
was
supposed
that
to be
it was the hood of the front of a camera. Yeah.
Yeah. A light box, I think there's no light spilling out of it. Not that I saw. So.
Nah. Well, those are directed, but yeah, I get, you're right. It probably was a camera giving a close up to Mayweather. That would be my guess, because the shot we were seading was clearly designed to capture both of them. Yeah. So, assuming Enterprise was a 2-camera show, 2 or 3, I don't know. It would be, to me, it would be silly to have it be a single camera show. It would take 2 times as long, 3 times as long to do anything when you can capture a close up and a second angle in a well-designed shot. Why wouldn't you do that? You know what I mean? If you're having 2 people talk doing over shoulders, heck yeah, do 2 cameras, get it in one take. Well, I don't know, whatever. It was clearly part of the crew production. That's all we're saying.
So what would you grade the episode?
I would give this episode... We're doing 1 through 10. I keep forgetting.
We do letter grades.
Yes. My bad.
Okay.
I'm going to give this episode a good solid A. Not an A- or an A+. It's a solid A. Mm-hmm. It's a good episode.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A too.
Yeah.
I think we both gave an A to Breaking the Ice. It's not in the A plus range. It's not A minus, but it is an A. There's a lot of wiggle room when it comes to that. It's just really good. I mean, I wish the storyline of the Temporal Cold War hadn't suddenly ended the way it did. But
yeah, I wish it had proved to be a little more interesting than it ultimately was.
But it had a good start.
It did. It
really
did.
did.
So yeah, okay, good. A for both.
All right, yeah. What's coming up next?
Well, let's see. Let me take a look at that. What is
See if we have another good one coming up.
It is Silent Enemy. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I remember that being good too.
Yeah. Please, sir, may I have some more?
Is that?
I think that's that one.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where I think. Oh, no, that's Minefield. My bad.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of Minefield. No, okay. Silent Enemy is where a Romulan ship is following them. And it's decloaking and coming back, and they're like, "What is going on?"
It's not a Romulan ship.
Yeah, I think it's Romulan.
No, Silent Enemy it's an unknown alien race that's tracking them and then boards their ship.
Really?
Pretty sure that's what it is. It's not a Romulan ship.
I thought it was. Maybe. Oh, that's Minefield. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
again,
I think
where it was a Romulan ship that was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, guess I'll enjoy this one. Okay.
All right. See you in the next one.
Bye.